something, and they communicate in different ways. There are objects here, like for example, the flags or the eyebrows, that communicate something very fast, very immediate. But there are objects, like for example, the Aladdin magic lamp, that open a space in which every person starts thinking, why did they put it? And every person might arrive to a different place. So that's the beauty of objects. They do not close us in one specific meaning, but they open a space in which every person, just as you said, banana brain, every person might arrive to a different conclusion. So this is about the meaning of objects. The process of what we're going to be making, we're going to be making a collage. And this is what I make, a collage. Now, a collage comes from the word collier, that's the way you say it in French. That means to glue something. And the beauty of a collage is that each creation ends up being an individual, unique creation. Just from the statistic point of view, all these objects come together, all these forms come together, and they create something unique. But there is something about the road of making a collage that Anne would like to share with you, and hopefully, after you hear it and after you experience it, you'll see some applications of that road to any other process that you're involved with, whether it is an educational, a creative, or even for your own life. So what is in that collage journey? What is the journey to the promised land? So first of all, it is exactly the opposite of IKEA. There is no manual. There is nobody that knows more than us that tells us what to do, and we need to follow directions. And it is the opposite of driving with a GPS, when we are constantly giving the authority to some external force, external power, and we become more and more dependent on it. And the more we use the GPS, the less we feel secure, the less we feel like we know where we are. And it eats our power. And it's the opposite. The collage road is really the opposite of driving on a highway with everyone else. It's more like driving on a scenic route. You all know the feeling when you drive on a highway that at a certain point you ask yourself, who was driving for the last half an hour, right? Because we do it automatically. But when we drive on a scenic route, we want to have fun, we want to discover, so we are constantly searching, we are constantly looking, and what we discover influences us. Suddenly we see something beautiful, we stop, and we take a picture, we do a picnic. So we discover and we change our ways according to what we discover. And what happens on the scenic route is that we see, we pay attention. And to see, according to Paul Valéry, the French poet, is to forget the name of the thing we are looking at. And basically what Valéry says is that the brain needs to call a name to whatever we're looking. The brain needs to define the situation, the person, the object that we're looking at, and once it defines it, it will not stay with it anymore. It will go on. And it's a basic evolutionary need to define what we're doing, to call it a name, to understand it. And Valéry says only if we manage not to understand for a while, to keep in this moment of unnaming, of unrecognizing, then we might really, out of the confusion, see something new. And of course, we need to trick our brain into doing this. And one way of tricking our brain to deviate from its usual ways is through play. Play is a way of saying, stop, we're entering a new place in which the rules are different. When we play, we look at the world in a different way. We are actually more creative. Many artists talked about the connection, including Picasso, connection between play and creativity. And another thing about play is that play makes us more forgiving. What did those football players did just now? What did they do? They missed the goal. They missed the goal. They're frustrated, but they're still happy, right? Relatively happy. They are within a game, and the game allows them to forgive themselves. in 2 more places, and those who got us, they will be somewhere else, and they will not remember that failure. And this is the beauty of playfulness, that lets us try things. We can play roles, we can lose, we are upset, but we understand it's not life. Nobody was killed, everything is okay. And when we make a collage, we start looking at the world with fresh eyes. So we will start practicing to do that. A good way to practice is to discover faces. The world is filled with faces. And when we start to see them, we start to use a different side of the brain. And you are smiling now and laughing back at the bag. And the reason you are doing it is because the bag smiled at you, and it created kind of a momentary change in your brain that made you react in an intuitive, emotional way. And the faces are everywhere, many of them in the bathroom, in the street, I'm sure you've seen them. So the next stage, after you're experts in finding faces in one object, the way we usually see them is in many objects together that form a face. You see any faces here?
Yeah. The beer with the tomatoes.
Yeah, there are many faces here. It's a question of each one might be seeing a different face. I see those, but there are other as well. So what we'll do today is really the same idea, is discovering something that is there. It's not really creating shapes, it's recognizing shapes. It's almost, you can say, it's not creating ideas, it's recognizing ideas that are there already, and only when we get confused for a second, suddenly we will see them. And in a way, we need to be like hunters. And we need to hunt something that we don't even know what it is, and once we hunt it, we will empower it. We will discover it, and we will empower it. For example, in my work, it might be an old tape recorder that I took from my daughter, that I say, what does it want to be? And I help it become what it wants to be. In this case, it's President Nixon. Sometimes it's very difficult to arrive purposely to that scenic route. Most of us are staying all the time on the highway because it's so easy, because society brings us this in the metaphorical highway of life. But many times we have a malfunction, we have a problem, we have some kind of trouble, and then it is an opportunity to enter, through a disruption, to enter a kind of a scenic route. And I was lucky enough that that problem happened to me. I faced a wall that actually had a big impact on why I started to make pictures this way. As a kid, there are proofs that I was making pictures like every other kid with pencils, and I was born in Uruguay, so lots of cows and steaks and horses. And when I was 11, we moved to Israel, and as a kid, I always was making drawings. But as a teenager, I didn't do much art, so slowly my level stayed on a very average level. And when I arrived to art school in New York, I actually wasn't even accepted to art school in Israel, and this is why I arrived to New York. And when I arrived to New York, I was drawing caricatures like this, but I was very bad. People were doing much better than me. They had the technical ability that I did not have, and it made me feel very frustrated. I felt like I had hit a wall, but hitting that wall brought me to enter, without knowing it then, a scenic route in which I was confused. I didn't know what I was doing, but I started to discover, just like in a real scenic route, all types of treasures. Like, for example, the poster for the movie The Great Dictator, the Charlie Chaplin movie. I was amazed how the artist with so little managed to say so much. And at the time, it was the time of the first Gulf War, and I owe a lot to Saddam Hussein, because I was drawing Saddam Hussein, and as I was drawing him, suddenly I saw this box of matches, and my idea was to try to make him as simple as this poster. But when I saw the matches, I realized that I even didn't need to draw the mustache, I could just use the matches. So it was a total coincidence that I found those matches there. And that coincidence kind of changed my life because I started to create using objects, creating portraits of famous people. And when I finished my art school in New York, I immediately started to work in different magazines, and pretty much I've been working since then. And it all started really with this wall that brought me, and obviously with the box of matches. So the collage road is really a scenic route in which actually it looks more like that, and it really represents and reflects, I think, any other process of creativity, any other process of education. It's a process that is full of mistakes, of trial and error, and our brain learns through that trial and error, and it's very hard when we're in the middle of the search to know the value of what we are encountering many times. But it's easy to look backwards, as I'm doing now. Steve Jobs was good in the way he described his road, and he said you can connect the dots only looking backwards. It's very difficult to do it as you are going through it. The trial and error basically teaches us that mistakes are good, and collage is a way of working that allows to make mistakes because we glue only at the very end. Okay? As long as we don't glue, we can really just move aside things. I think I tried like 15 objects for the eyes. The ones that were not working, I just moved them aside and tried something else. Imagine if I had to draw or paint every time, and the whole disappointment that happens when we have to erase something or start anew. So it's a process in which you do not pay a price for your mistakes. And it's an important thing to create that type of space. And when we try many things, we have lots of happy accidents. And if we teach ourselves to recognize them, we will see them. When I made a picture of Homer Simpson, I didn't look my ideas. I threw them to the garbage can, and then I saw that the garbage can in the studio looked exactly like the mouth of Homer. It was there. It was a question of discovering it. And collage is about challenging preconceptions. Who said that one thing has to be one way or another? Who said that a caricature needs to have a face? This one doesn't have a face, and it's still recognizable. So once we are doing something that is weird enough and different enough, all the rules are forgotten, and we can really invent our own rules. But perhaps the most important thing that collage teaches is to be constantly adapting and changing, which is a basic human evolutionary need. And to me, it happened really after I started creating books for children, that suddenly I started to have fans. Children started to send me pictures that they created with objects or with food, very innocent ones. Some were not innocent. This girl sent me a picture of Monica Lewinsky with a sign that said, and I also included the stain. And then I found myself visiting schools. And I realized how easy it was for kids to work this way. Suddenly, everybody knew how to make art. Nobody felt insecure. And the objects became a possibility for people to hear and to listen. And from working with children, I started working with adults as well, as you saw at the beginning. And the more I do it, the more I understand that what happens when we make a collage is that we learn to listen, to pay attention, to observe, to have awareness, because we do not have any voice that tells us what to do, only what's in front of us, and our own inner voice will decide what road we are taking. And I want to end with this kid who participated in one workshop that I did in Tel Aviv. And he studies in a public school in Tel Aviv. He's a refugee from Eritrea. He came walking to Israel. And supposedly he did not understand what I asked him to do. I gave him a board. I told him glue everything on the board. And he glued everything on himself. But the fact even to ignore instructions. And in a way, he kind of created an African mask in Tel Aviv, and he connected with whoever he is. So this is, I feel, the power of collage, that is a protected space of play that allows us to hear and express. So this was made by my wife. So, and the other realization is that we are always somewhere in the middle of the process. That process never ends, and at any point we will find something that will give us some new idea and will change our roads. So now it's time for you to play with the objects. Do you want to play?
Yes.
Okay, any question before we open the windows and get some air? Okay, so getting up will be good. We'll do that in a second. Now, when we are going to work in groups of how many are we? 2, 4, 6. We have okay. We are like 24. Maybe we should have like 6 groups of 4. Okay. So what I would like you to do is to once I finish, to get up, and I would ask you to choose 3 objects. I'll tell you which ones, what type, and then you'll find yourself in a group of 4. Okay, we have 5 tables. Maybe one table will have 2 people, or maybe we'll have 5 groups of 5. Maybe we'll have 5 groups of 5.
There is a table here.
Okay. Oh yeah, there is a table here. Good, good, good. So we can have 6 groups, and when you choose objects, it's important to let go. Don't think too much. Don't think at all. Okay? Let the objects choose you. Let the objects give you ideas. Come open to the table. Okay? And when you're going to be working, it's important to trust the process. We're not gluing until the very end. So that allows us to try many different possibilities without fearing making mistakes. And we're going to be working on our feet, which for all of you that are falling asleep have missed. That's okay, you already heard me 3 times. It'll be a good way to keep yourself awake. I know the food is good here, it's a bad hour to talk. So here's what I will ask you to do. You need to choose 3 objects. Okay? Object 1 represents you. Maybe it represents you because it's something that you really like. Maybe it represents you because it has a quality that you have, something that you're really proud of. Maybe you don't even understand why you chose this object, and it's fine as well. Okay? That's object 1. Object 2 is a professional passion that you have, or a professional power that you have, or something professionally that you're very connected to. Okay? Kids, your profession is being in school, I guess. And C, the third is, what is for you creativity? Okay, what connects to you creativity? But try to go beyond just the obvious connection. Okay, try to go to maybe to a metaphor or something beyond. But as I said, be very intuitive. This is only a warm-up exercise. There is no right and wrong. So we have 10 minutes for this. We have buffets with, this time not with food, with lots of objects. So just each one of you chooses 3 objects and goes to a table and joins a group of 4 other people or 3 other people. Okay? 10 minutes. It's the time that you can come and present your creation. So who wants to come and present your creation? Ernest, come on. El grupo de Ernest. Venga, va. Todo el equipo, una persona, quien quiera. Unos cuantos.
Xerro, però ja sabeu que xerrar amb mi és igual, però...
Equipo, venga.
Això és un treball aquí.
Y esta parte con música, ¿no?
Ens ha inspirado.
Nos ha inspirado. Venga, ahora la coreografía.
So no, basically the idea, we were all, we wanted all to share what was our view of creativity. I think because most of us are involved in technology companies, we were thinking on how to go from an idea towards a viable product, and it's a long and winding road. What do you want to add? Guys?
Yeah.
Everything begins when you untap a bottle of wine, and it begins to express in all the flavors and all the tastes the ideas that are in your mind. And this is the most hard part of the path, because once you have the idea, you have to begin to develop it and to describe it, and you find the constraints and the barriers, and then you fight with yourself, or the team fighting in between, and there are problems and so on. Just at the moment you see Eureka, and the smiley face appears and stores all the solution to pass from the idea to the first product, let's say, no? And the technologies may explain the rest.
Yeah, then we arrive from the first prototype to the final product, and we always have someone looking with very big eyes into our product.
Like the neighbors.
And the final word is that you need a lot of energy. This is why we have a full set of batteries. Despite this happy flower image that now people is trying to project on startups and creativity, startups and creativity are hard tasks, and you require a lot of, well, basically it's a long and winding road.
But once you find it, you feel free, like flying. And you go with the wind.
Muy bien. And also they get extra points for the presentation. It had music, it had movement. Okay, who's coming next? Okay.
So this is this started with an idea of talking to the past, to the tapes. This was Noor's idea. He was thinking about the past to the tapes, and then we started to use this as part of what Irene uses as creativity when she dresses up. And so we started drawing this, and then finally we thought that this was pretty much related to music. And then we found out that it's exactly like George Harrison, I'm sorry. You don't see the picture, but it's black and white, and it's green, in fact, so the original is green.
Wow,
No, that's a lie. But I mean, it looks pretty much like him. And then thanks also to Hanoch, who helped us draw a guitar and finish the design on the part below, which we were not too sure about what to do there.
It looks great.
You like it? And then we have Messi, because he is also a genius, so it's a bit of music and genius and 70s and all that stuff.
Wow.
Freedom. The spirit of freedom. Okay, who's next? Vamos, todo el grupo.
Sí, está muy bien. Está muy gracioso.
Well, this is our picture. This is our picture. In the first moment was different because the different people to look for different objects, and after we changed. We're changing the way to finish the picture, and we think that is these flowers, because all people of the globe love the natural, and Dorian is another profession is a teacher, informatic teacher,
Okay.
and his other profession is writer. And he's one this. And after, he loves to play with the piece of Lego and the other constructions. And Noah, she loves paint and drawing. And well, my sister is secretary and the crafter of the day with paint papers. And I love me because in my free times I love to to watch TV, to watch a film. I listen to music, and this one.
Gave you an idea, right, to make this person somebody specific.
Yes.
And who is it?
Yes, it's very good. We are look for all the necessary for this picture because
Barça.
football player is the Barça, and this singer, his husband is a football player, Barça football player. What Gigi? Shakira.
Okay, very Tobias and Elena, go before yours. It's a chance now.
No disses here.
I'll be first.
We're doing
We
some.
did a little research and found out that we were from a creativity background, more or less, and we were all working related to creativity. So first we decided just to express that creativity works with raw materials and it's sometimes tough. So we had those things around here where bricks and very solid and hard. And then we created a process. We wanted to represent the process, but then it got emotions in it, so it's like a roller coaster. And a roller coaster
The
represents...
thing you have like the bricks and the hard stuff, but you also, this is your head in the beginning of the creative process.
Yeah.
You all know what we mean, I think. And you need to put power in the whole process and get energy flowing. You got some detours, you got stuff which works against you, like law and regulation sometimes, like people working against you. And then you cannot see it anymore.
Also, yeah.
And then at one point where you put material and everything together, you have the idea. I'm not sure if you can see it anymore. We have a light here with the idea, but it's,
Maybe if you could
you have
press a little
to,
bit the
Hanoch, you
window.
have to buy new batteries.
Yeah. Oh, it went out of battery.
It's still there, but it's like very, very small.
Okay. Yeah. I see.
And this idea goes into a creative explosion.
I love it. This is the connection to Barcelona and to.
Yeah, it's like a dragon poking out all the amazing
And
ideas.
he's poking out all the
Yeah.
pretty little things in the end.
And the thing is that creativity is always a roller coaster with ups and downs, but you finally get to find something that satisfies you and
And it's a fun journey.
Okay.
It's a fun roller coaster.
it's always a process.
Yeah, it's you both have the passionate stuff at the end. You know?
We started actually with saying it's a way, and then someone came, actually it's a roller coaster. I think it was you who said, oh, I like that you're doing it 3
I like that it Who is coming now? You don't have any choice.
Cool. So we had a bit of a process, like what is creativity for us? And we came really into playfulness, because we really agreed to what Hanoch was saying. If you come in a playful mood, you become more creative. So that's when we came with the idea of what you probably can guess, right? What do you think it represents? Yes.
A crazy clown.
In the beginning, it started to look really scary.
Yeah, it almost reads killer
And we
clown.
were like, okay, trying to make it friendly. And also, like, the clown is nice because it connects to people. It's like without talking, you can connect with people, and also it doesn't take itself so serious. That's also important.
And we had a lot of iterations.
Yeah.
Every creative process. And actually the name KINNERFACE was derived from the diversity of KINNERNET, because you have different moods, different stages in creativity, technology, music, arts, whatsoever. So we thought actually that kind of a clown with different expressions kind of represents our community here at KINNERNET as well. So that's the reason why it's called KINNERFACE. Very good.
All right. Okay, and the last one that somehow seems like we
Yeah, I did a little. I see that. Maybe that's the tornado one. So, go ahead. So there was only 3 of us, so we didn't have very many things. And so we started with this idea of creativity requiring a lot of force, a lot of energy. And so we had this kind of concept of a windmill. And then, this is a good one, you tell me. So why did you choose this?
No, well, you have this. You turning to the ideas, to all this. You try to canalize all this wind you think about that, and you are turning around. At the end, you find this idea, which is here, the explosion, this kind of how to say, light. But meanwhile, you have the snake that is beating you, that try to not have the final outcome. You have the noise. Physicists concept. They put always noise in the formula. They put something in order that it's not all that clean.
And then you have destruction.
And you have the destruction, because sometimes the new ideas requires a sort of massive destruction, like a tornado, making the revolution.
Okay, very nice. Okay, so before we wrap it up, let's have a little bit of talk about, maybe you want to share something about the process that you went through. Anything that comes to mind?
It's exponential.
Exponential.
Because we all start very shy, we don't say anything. Someone brings an idea and it blooms like a flower.
Okay, so it generates easiness, something about the process. Okay.
Happy accident.
Happy accident.
Actually, we were thinking about it, and then you came and said, "Oh, I like this 3D angle you're doing." I was not thinking about 3D in that moment, but just afterwards, I what? 3D, great idea.
But you had it there, it was there.
Yeah, because actually the cable was just too strong to put on the paper. So it was just standing up because it was like twisted.
Okay.
And you said, I
kind of like
and then
an idea.
great. Yeah. And we ended somewhere totally different than I thought we would end at the start.
So you all experience happy accidents in some way or another?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We experience happy accident.
Yeah, being here.
You were kind of very lost at the start as well.
Okay.
Started kind of
Yeah,
idea what you want
you
to
felt
do.
confused at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Everybody felt confused at the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah, and now you kind of feel pretty content with what you did? Yeah. So what do you think happened that made you, in just 1 hour or less, go from being really confused to being even half proud? Gonzalo is proud of his,
How do you know?
George Harris. I know. I know a proud man when I see him. So what do you think made you feel happy with what you did?
Teamwork.
Teamwork.
Yeah, I think it's teamwork.
Teamwork.
Yeah.
And
Connection we had.
letting go.
Okay.
Did you kind of
Letting go of judgmentalism,
Yeah, looking
right?
at things and
No, there wasn't many judgmental.
you could say anything that you
Think out of the box.
Okay.
Well, Pereira's
So
group
you
copied
just
from
No,
us,
no,
but
that was the
yes.
other way
I did the job. They were working.
He was our spy.
The synergies were which one? The synergies?
Okay, the synergy between all of you.
And
Yeah.
there was no competition. I mean, everyone was focused on trying to express something,
Right.
playing.
In the group there wasn't competition.
Or even between the groups.
Except for Ernest. Ernest and Joan have something going there.
Maybe the drunk guys are.
So I think you throw us a little bit off our comfort zone, because we all didn't know what happened in the beginning.
Right.
So we were all, what the shit are we going to do with this stuff? Doesn't make sense at all.
Okay.
That kind of felt.
Okay, so this is the disruption and this is the deviation. Like the confusion put you in a new place. But the place wasn't threatening because it's a place of toys, it's a place of color, and it's a place that at the end asks for you to say something. And suddenly you want to say something. Each one of you wanted to said something about yourself, and you ended up all expressing lots of content about something that you're passionate about, creativity, and you all talked about the hardships of the way. You know, there were a couple of places here with policemen there, with people that say no, with so it's something that is in that you do have passion about, the creative process. So, and different ideas, some of them similar, the passion, the fire in the dragon, and the movement here, and you know, the passion of the 70s, you know, of the romanticism, and also the music here, the romanticism of Shakira and Piqué.
And then I was learning today that the adults is more difficult than expressing their creativity. And in our team, the child, very quickly, this object for this object for this.
Are you saying that the adults didn't do very well?
We're saying you had help.
I think.
No, it took them. I think they did very well also. And that's what happens always. I see that also the adults, because really we took the judgmental part away, and this is really where there is no good and bad. I think people think that what they do is good because it represents something real about the process. It captures a moment, so that is some kind of something truthful, and I think this creates meaning that makes us proud with what we did. So yeah, anything else?
That you just do it.
That what?
That you just do it.
You just
You're
do it.
making. You're on the making. You don't have to plan in advance. You don't have to agree with everything you're going to do.
Okay.
That's exhausting. That's what from Monday to Friday we have.
Okay.
You know, you kind
Okay.
of agree on things and
Okay.
meet and first thing.
Okay.
What's the roadmap?
Okay.
A plan ahead,
Okay.
everything, plan your meetings, all those things from
Okay.
there, right? So here it was just do it, just start doing
Okay.
something. Yeah,
Okay.
just do it.
Which is another lesson, because when we do, we feel good.
Yeah.
And when we sit still, you know, and there is more or less, you know, like this time we didn't have any choice, but usually I push people to work standing up. Because people, when they stand up, they have more energy, and then when they sit down, it's like something about the energy goes down, you know. So yeah, doing it gives you energy. And also, it's interesting because we were talking about the subject matter here, which is creativity, and lots of ideas came up. I mean, there is a result here that if we were in some kind of creative session and we needed to distill ideas from what we came here, so we have a couple of concepts that came up here that we could explore a little bit more. So this is also important to realize that the content also has, and the result also has some importance here in terms of bringing up thoughts. It was also some kind of a brainstorming session, you know, a very open and vague, but there was kind of a brainstorming. Okay,